Extreme Sport right on a very beautiful Saturday afternoon. Past the name, and we are going to have a lovely one, I should say. We shall be talking very deep cricket. We did promise you that as, of course, we prepare for these very, very important elections, we'll be having more talk about that particular thing. But that's not all we have to talk about the cricket. Yes, we'll be joined by Dennis Musali of UCA, and he will be engaging you all. If you have any questions, you can get those in as early as possible. Let's head to our Twitter, 978 Radio City, and do just that. Alternatively, we'll open the phone lines later for your highs and lows. You can slide those in then. But also, later on the show, of course, plenty of Premier League to talk about. And, Liverpool trying to throw it away. We'll be talking all about that. The rot at Manchester United, plus all those teams that are reeling from the injury crisis. We'll be breaking that all down, of course, not forgetting those fixtures coming through this particular weekend. We had one last night, as consequential as you might think it is. Ruud Van probably will be the most decorated coach or former player in the championship next season, as it looks, unless, of course, someone decides to take him on. Just like Burnley had to relinquish some former very decorated player of theirs. But of course, the manager form, Burnley themselves doing extraordinary things in the championship. Maybe we'll slide in a thing or two about that. Not forgetting what's happening across Europe. And, of course, a big, big dose of basketball, where last night, nail-biting affair against Cape Verde. We'll be talking to Albert, who is up north, to fill us in on what's going on with the Silverbacks. Don't forget, like I said, those phone lines will be open in just a bit. But first, the lads in studio. Peter.
Yeah, good afternoon, Pius.
Yokobachi.
Ndio. Yes, lots of talking points. Of course, we had quite some good action in midweek Champions League football. At exciting game that was, we all know that particular game that I'm talking about. But also, happy that rugby is back in Uganda. It's been a 2-week break. We'll definitely explain why. And then, of course, mentioning what's happening with the national teams. You talked about the AfroBasket qualifiers for Uganda. It's just interesting how a country like Libya, that has had that history of, political tensions and all, can be able to actually host qualifiers like what is going on there. I've seen a couple of videos, and you can see the entire city or surrounding area is, littered with bullet holes and buildings not looking exactly like it's supposed to. But I mean, here we are.
They still have those scars of war. Yeah,
the scars of war, but they still are able to actually host such qualifiers. Just so interesting. I mean, but anyways, yes, interesting stuff. The Premier League, the weekend is here, and more talking points, especially from the red side of Manchester.
Yeah, and more bad predictions.
I don't think so. I actually got each and every one of them last weekend spot on. They were very easy. I gave Arsenal the win. I gave Liverpool the win. I gave Man City the win. And I gave Tottenham the win on this show. And it turns out the week began or ended, whichever way you look at it, with that Spurs United game. It was a proper 14th versus 15th kind of game. Bare knuckles, 38 shots in total. And it just opened up the way for the European Champions League. When Peter Tabu talked about, which game I'm talking about, I think the most entertaining game was the Juventus game. The beautiful game. If you didn't watch it, so unless Peter is talking about, I think he's talking about the drabbing of Man City. That was a one-sided game, really. I don't think you get good one-sided games. The Juventus game that went to extra time was quite amazing. And here we are. The Italians are in trouble, starting with Juventus. We've kept on updating you on this show about the European coefficiency and the fact that the top 2 ranked leagues in Europe after this season will get an extra slot in the Champions League. Basically, instead of sending 4 teams, they will send 5. Before this week, the Premier League was on top. The Italian Serie A was second. But what happened in the Champions League is that PSV knocked out Juventus. Atalanta got knocked out by Club Brugge. AC Milan also got knocked out by Feyenoord. And I think Inter Milan is the only Italian team surviving in the Champions League. And that means the Spanish League, as soon as the next round of European games, the Spanish League will overtake the Italian League. But that makes the Premier League even safer as we speak. So we can start conclusively saying number 5 will be enough to qualify for the Champions League from England. For
Who
Italy,
is currently occupying that one in England?
who is current? Someone opened the table for me. I would assume maybe Man City or something. I don't know who is 5th in England, but I'll get that in a moment. But so officially, it's now top 5. However, keeping it for starters, congratulations to Feyenoord and PSV. It means we have 2 Dutch teams in the last 16 for the first time since 2006. But keeping it with the number 5, if Arsenal beat West Ham this weekend, which I think they will do, then you have a 5-point gap between Arsenal and Liverpool with equal games played. If you have a 5-point gap and these 2 teams are yet to even play each other again, I think we have a title race. I think these last few results of Liverpool Football Club, the fact that they've won only 1 of their last 4 games in all competitions, I think it has opened it up. The fact that they have played the game more, the fact that they go to Man City. You understand what I mean? I mean, if Arsenal, for example, beat West Ham today, and Liverpool go to Man City tomorrow.
So how do you suddenly have faith in Man City?
I saw Man City last weekend against Newcastle. They demolished them. I think 4-0. It could have been 6 or 7. Newcastle didn't lay glove on Man City. I saw Man City in Europe against Real, but those are Madrid. They are the Champions League. Maybe it should be the UEFA Madrid Champions League or something. But I've also seen Liverpool. I saw Liverpool against Everton. That ended 2-2. I saw Liverpool against Wolves. That ended 2-1. It could have been very, very different. I saw Liverpool against Aston Villa. That ended 2-2. I cannot put my hand right now and say that Liverpool is going to go to Etihad and win. So it's about both. It's about, this is the worst form Liverpool have been on this season in terms of results. For Man City, they're all over the place. However, if you ask me to stake my life, I wouldn't. So if you're Arsenal, and today you can cut the gap to 5 points, and Liverpool go to Etihad, and you still have to, I think, guys, I think we have a title race in England now.
Or maybe they should introduce a new rule whereby when you lose, you also get a minus. Anyway. When you are chasing it, but that will be some wishful thing. We'll take some calls on 07039799797 or 07869879797. Call us up and tell us what your highs and lows have been this past week. Like I said, you can also tweet us at 97 FM Radio City.
Radio City, hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, sir.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yes, Tekiro from PG.
Yes, Tekiro from PG.
Yes.
Talk to us, man.
How is the studio?
The studio is hot.
Nice.
Yeah.
I can see 2 points more. They are now changing. As far as title race in the English Premier League is concerned, so those ones who are the actual given to Liverpool, see now they are okay. That happens to be my high, but the lower has to do the cold and the hot Manchester derby. Actually, Manchester City, actually.
Man City.
Yes. Man City is this time around. I don't think even this week they can do something, but from Champions League now remaining Arsenal. These people who are saying that Arsenal is supposed to play Real Madrid. I saw some Arsenal fans, they yearning to play Real Madrid. So it seems this one has to do that. In case Arsenal knocks out the PSV, then Real knocks Atletico Madrid, there is a high chance of Arsenal beating Real Madrid. But for me, as any honest Arsenal fan, it's time.
All right then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Considering the vulnerability up front, I think those people, they can disorganize the defense of Real Madrid.
All right then.
Thank you,
all right. Thank you as well. Of course, Paris, he highlights the fact that we know the Champions League draw, and he talks about the fact that the winner between Arsenal PSV will take on one of the Madrid teams. Yeah. So be careful what you wish for, Arsenal fans.
I was going to ask whether you're a fan of us having this one draw that just pretty much everyone knows their fate from now until the end of the... I kind of like the spontaneity of the draw up to a certain point.
There have been massive allegations in European football about the warm ball theory, about when you get, for example, to assume you have a semi-final that somehow has Lille, Aston Villa, Barcelona and Man City. Europe will try and make the final not Lille versus Aston Villa. But when you make the draw complete at a very early stage, round of 16, you know who will play who, quarterfinals, semis. I think it eliminates the one ball theory.
Yeah? Course.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Oli bichugwe guy.
Ndi byange payas. Sina tabu gambo ya tabu
faba mulina gola bikato mulina. Anti adisina tabu. Faba mulina.
Ita tabu taliwo.
Faba mulina gogambye tolina tabu. Yali wano faba mulina.
Ogamba chi.
Okay. Sina tabu Magizo Express ogamba chi.
Hey, sebo ompa timu.
The Express yali ayo muli.
Sebo mukuru sebo.
Ono Viane semukaya.
Viane saisokuru.
Kale bakulu. No mukulu oyo ani nyaligenza.
Owachi.
Oyo wa Manu.
Wano ngati wali ba Manu. Albert taliwo ali yagenda.
Albert ona Isa.
Isa yagenda kuzaala.
Naye the thing is waliwo agenda ogwa mu kkubo lya Madrid. Arenga njogera waayitira wagenda gwa ndi muwagizi. I am a fan for the last 20 plus years. But natiddemu the last my love.
Oli waseno.
Ndi waseno.
Kati otiddemu mbu bwe mujja mu PSV mugenda gwa muziri embize nyini ziri
entimu. Kubo toyikirizibwa liyitamu okujjako ng'oligadiola. Ola n'eruno kuno lyamulemyo yitamu.
Ogera ate kazi mugenda kukola mutya. Oba muwagire Athletic ejjemu omukulu.
Lewe mujjamu teri timu za pesa nesuba timu za Spain tukize tugane. They can't manage them.
Okay. So we focus on the
abavayo. So ekinaja kizde kasabe tukube West Ham lero. Gapwe closing.
Kali mukama waffe. Kali Papa, thank you so much.
All right. Some can I told you can also tweet us at 97 from Radio City, just like baddest Melanin has done. Says been a while and thanks for the show. High of the week is Kylian Mbappe showing the world he is him. Yeah. That one where he left the defender on his backside. Amazing stuff there. Bako, you say highs are the amazing performances from Robinson and the whole Silverbacks team. The chemistry between Tony and Womala was nice to see. Big games are coming for your favorite Atletico Madrid, Barca, and Madrid in the next 10 games. All very, very decisive. Barca Semenyo about it demo already, but Phil, to answer your question for if it was in Spain, the top 5. The top 5 is...
it's actually Bournemouth, I've checked that.
Yeah, I thought you would have figured that one very quickly.
No.
The move they made last week was... Anyway. The one of Spain is a bit spread out.
All right.
I think there was a gap between Barca, Atletico, and Real.
That's 1 point.
Yeah. Then there's 4 points between them and I think the next team being Athletic Bilbao. Then I think they are also like 4 points ahead of Villarreal, who are in 5th place. Then Rayo Vallecano, who are further like 4 something behind. It's a bit spread out, but I guess we could also have a fight there for those positions.
It would be something if England, in their contingent, next season they sent Bournemouth and Nottingham Forest, who are both currently in Champions League places. I think that would be something interesting. People forget that from the package they sent last year, Marcus Rashford is now playing Champions League football with Aston Villa. They will be taking on Brugge, who I think they have a chance against. So it's possible for Marcus Rashford to be in the Champions League quarterfinals. What a step up to Aston Villa.
And the crazy thing is that it's not been looking terrible.
I've been looking...
okay, I'll bet it's a small sample size, half of football. But the true story has got to be the GOAT of football.
In Spain now?
Yeah.
Anthony?
Yeah.
It's remarkable that almost every player that gets out of Manchester United starts performing. You can look at various examples. We even forget that is now maybe Stoke Ronaldinho McTominay in Naples.
Driving a team to a championship with a cult following from the start.
So it's just ridiculous. That club is rotten, man. Those things, you see, when you say them, they don't make sense. But I've interacted with different people that have worked in our same line of business, that have worked at a particular media house, and they just tell you, man, it's toxic. As soon as you leave, you're free, you get back to yourself. So it's possible that Manchester United, and I'm not surprised by Rashford banging them in.
You're speaking while looking at Tabo. Are you trying to nail him down?
No. Tabo, it's not. I'm sure you got what I meant. It's not. Tabo has not worked at that media house. I don't have faith that if they came for him, he would stay. His loyalty might not be.
I love Xtreme Sports so much.
They will need a Maguru Kumi.
But he would chop weight in 2 months. He would get stressed. But so, yeah, Manchester United is toxic. And like you say, it's no surprise that Marcus is starting to look like the Ford we thought Rush was.
Yeah. Those some people are starting to point out the Sancho is starting to revert to type. Just down south.
Old habits.
Yeah, we're going to take a very short break. When we return, that aforementioned Dennis Musali will be joining us for quite the conversation. Xtreme Sport Radio, this is 97 FM. Keep those highs and lows coming through. Tweet us at 97 FM Radio City, and we'll get you loud and clear. Baslu Taya, you say your high is Madrid humiliating City. Angela is Phil or is praising City. Listen to us all the way live from UAE. Phil, you want a moment to... Is your praise misplaced here?
Clearly, this year, I would admit a bit misplaced. However, it's not yet over now that we have this monster of a team that is only playing Premier League and FA Cup, meaning 1 game a week. I think we are about to start heaping more praise on them, starting with their hosting of the runaway league leaders, Liverpool.
And I think Arsenal fans would love that. Paul Banks says, cheers, good people. Kudos to Phil with good predictions. I hope he keeps up the run. Your low, you say, has to be Arsenal likely to face Real Madrid. Arsenal, Phil, Gumpira.
No, I think, you know what? Arsenal already talking about their game in the quarterfinals. And I think they are missing out on something very, very big. This PSV team they are playing is a very dangerous team. I think they are the only team that have beaten Liverpool in the Champions League this season. They score goals for fun. You look at the Dutch league, they have so far played 23 games, and PSV have already scored 71 goals. They have goals in them. Of course, me personally, I preferred Arsenal taking on Feyenoord, because Feyenoord had just hired Robin van Persie. But I don't want Arsenal fans to think this home and away against PSV. And by the way, it's typical Arsenal to get knocked out by PSV.
Has it happened before? It's not like it hasn't happened before, right?
PSV
Arsenal going to PSV and get like just this.
For starters, they are not winning in Netherlands. That one I will tell you now. It's all about what happens in England. So I don't want them to assume Banene knew that ono yavude already tuli ku Madrid obotegera chengamba. No, you're not.
Olinze ngamba simu tuchaga kwa kuletera Arsenal. Anyway, we will return to the Premier League title race and of course the implications of that Champions League draw in a bit. But first of all, let's turn our attention to cricket. I did promise we'll have Dennis Sally joining us in studio. He is with us. Phil aptly described him earlier. I think this was a private conversation about us having some furniture at this. You've become part of the furniture, I guess. Are you keeping count of the number of times you've been here, Dennis? Good afternoon, first of all.
All right, then. Dennis?
Good afternoon.
Okay, better.
Pius, Phil, and Tabo. Pleasure here. This feels... But most times I've been attacked. So today I hope you guys will be nice.
We are nice people.
The man yesterday, that crow opposite, is responsible for the attacks.
I'm not feeling the love when I come here. So guys, be nice.
What keeps you coming back then?
It's part of my job. We're not here. When you have a job, you're not here to only do the simple things. So you are here for everything. So it's part of my job.
Luckily, I think if our prayers are answered, the job description might change a bit. We might not have to come here all the time.
I was thinking along the lines maybe just a closeted BDSM here we have with us. But anyway, we'll get to the cricket. First of all, what an amazing last 3 months, so to say. I'm bunching us having the league be here and us going away, and the results have been amazing.
Yeah.
How expectant were you? How expectant? And this is not from a PR perspective here. Genuinely, how felt after the World Cup? We knew there would be some changes here and there, change of format, of course. We felt like we were not quite prepared, but this have been it's been an amazing return, at least from the boys.
Yeah, very, very true. And maybe let me speak as a fan, so that I'm more objective. After the World Cup was really an appearance, because in terms of results, we had the lowest score in the World Cup history and things like that. And then, of course, Brand stepped away. There was a new coach, new captain, some new players in the team as well. So I think on the balance of play for the last, we've been able to win 8 out of the last 10, at least 8 games we've played. And it was a bit of a surprise. The guys getting a mirror result in what they did in the first leg of the Challenge League, being in Hong Kong from Kampala, winning 4 games, and then the draw we shall take. In my opinion, I think we can take the draw, especially coming that it was against a team like Italy that could have taken everything away from you. And now we sit comfortably at the top of Group B, and you feel that there's some good distance between us and the team that is in third place, which is Hong Kong. You feel like we just have to, you can get the three results you need when we go to Tanzania early next year, and then we'll be at the next level. And that next level is something that has been eluding us for quite a lot of times. Different generations have come and failed to get to the next level. And you feel that this generation, the first one to go to the World Cup, seems to be like it's going to be the generation that is going to take us to ODI cricket. That's something that has been, a lot of people have worked very hard for Uganda cricket to play ODI cricket.
Kind of like it's written in the stars, you say. Anyway, you point out basically it's just down to us now. The bare minimum we have to do. We love mathematics as well.
No, it's just 3 wins.
Yeah, for better or for worse. I'll never forget Masembe for this one.
Exactly, just 3 wins for us, and in that group you feel we can get the 3 wins. If we beat Tanzania, Singapore, and Bahrain, that will be enough for us to. At worst, we can only finish second in that particular group.
It's 3 wins. I think that is done. The players, though, how amazing what they did there. Before, I would love for us to talk about the upcoming election and all that. But since Pius began with this, with the Challenge League, the players, how are they both, and how are they in Hong Kong as they squeezed out the runs and both financially and otherwise?
I think the financial is always taken care of for them. They are happy employees of the Ghana Cricket Association.
Okay.
But I think it's just the difference in the conditions. There were very small grounds in Hong Kong, like who were able to see on TV. Yep. Cosmas was literally running in to bowl from close to the boundary. And for me, I feel that tested the skill of the players for them to be able to adapt to smaller grounds and then be able to grind out 4 wins. When we played the tri-series, we felt like Hong Kong is going to beat up on everyone, but somehow they even ended up only managing 3 wins against the teams everyone was able to beat. So I think that was a good skill test for the guys, for them to go out in different conditions and do well. Usually we play in different places, but in conditions that are a bit similar to what Kampala is.
Yep.
But this time it was very, very cold in Hong Kong. And there were very smaller boundaries, but the guys, for me, I'd always thought would do well in that series did well.
Okay.
Juma Miyagi and Cosmas Cheuta.
We have an AGM coming up at the Cricket Association. This is next weekend, Dennis?
Yes.
On the 1st.
Yeah, on the 1st of March.
And it's an election year.
Yeah.
So basically, we expect there will be some electing taking place. Yes. How does the voting work at the association?
So for Uganda Cricket, how our elections work, the construction of our executive is in such a way that we have 8 member clubs, and each member club has to nominate one person to represent them on the board.
All right.
So, for example, in this particular room, will be already 4 members to the board, but each of us from different clubs. Our 8 member clubs, maybe to just go through them quickly. We have Tornado, we have Tornado B, we have Wanderers, we have KICC, we have Premier, Ginger, which is Jack, and Nile Cricket Club. So they are, I think those are 8. And KICC. So those are the 8 member clubs. So each one of them sends one person to represent them on the board. And from the 8 people they've sent to represent them on the board, 2 positions are elective. That is the chairman and the secretary. So those are the only 2 elective positions that will be happening at the elections. The chairman and the secretary. Plus the representative for ladies cricket as well is also elected, but usually that post, normally it's very rare for it to be competitive. Someone is nominated by the ladies and then they're given the responsibility. So we're going to have an election for the chairman and the secretary. Michael Nwagawa cannot contest again because his terms are finished.
The man had resigned sometime back, but we will move on.
He served as chairman for 4 years, so you can only serve for two-year terms that are back to back, and then you can move on. So Michael is ineligible to contest for chairman again. So technically means we'll have a new chairman. And since Jackson Kavuma is also running for the position of chairman, we'll basically have a new chairman and a new secretary as well.
All right then. So like you said, I think we'll start with secretary. Yeah. Are you opposed?
Yes. So like I said, my club put forward my name to be the next honorary secretary for the Uganda Cricket Association. And Tornado B as well put up to send their representative, that is Jeremy Chibukamsoke. So it's the 2 of us running for the position of secretary.
All right then. We wish you luck. Personally, Jeremy,
two very good friends.
Yeah, but also
good history.
To Chibuka Musoke, good luck to you as well. However, personally, I hope Dennis whoops you. that is just me, not the management of this station.
Has chosen sides.
Let me ask, for you personally, why did you accept this nomination? Do you there is something
bringing to cricket?
Yeah, personally, for me, I felt I've been serving as the communications manager for the association for the last, I think, 4 years. And I think I've done what I could. I've made my contribution. I don't see myself bringing anything new to the table.
In terms of communication.
In terms of communications, in the fraternity, there are already young people who can do what I do and even do it to better, take it to another level. Maybe I've created a foundation, let them build on that and do something better. So communications has changed. For us, we need more dynamic people, and I feel that the young guys in the fraternity can push us forward. So I felt that I've served my purpose as a communications manager.
All right.
It's now time to step up and try and be in a bigger leadership position where I can make a contribution. I've served on the board before as the organizing secretary. I was in charge of games then, but it was a long time ago. And I understand the politics of how the board works. And now that I feel that I can make a bigger contribution as the secretary of the association.
Okay, you say politics. I want us to talk about the bigger race. I think there are two races.
Yeah.
Secretary General, which I hope you win, and then the chairman of the board.
Yeah.
But you said the politics of cricket. And like you mentioned earlier, the clubs are the ones that vote.
Yeah.
It's therefore very suspicious when just before an election or this election, certain clubs change leadership in very questionable circumstances. What's happening with Ginger Cricket Club?
I think.
Are you from Ginger? Just
No. I started in Ginger, but I'm not a member of Ginger Association of Cricket Clubs. This is Jack. And what the stance of the association, now I speak as the communications manager, the stance of the association has been that the association doesn't get involved in club politics. Usually the clubs are allowed to send their delegates. They don't want to know whether Phil and Pius are fighting each other. What the association will work with is what is the legal person to work with. So the association hasn't been very involved in what is happening in Ginger, but of course they've been informed about it. And usually they will just let the club sort themselves out.
Okay, thank you for not answering that. But basically,
I was also going to ask him whether the association allows you to campaign while you're here, or it's only the voting people that will hear.
And one of the things Phil was talking about is that our election is a bit unique in how we vote. Our voting is just the 8-member clubs. You need 5 of those to win the election.
Yep.
So each club sends 2 delegates to the assembly. Sends 2 delegates to the assembly. So there's a total of 16 votes that are available for either candidate. So if you get 10 and I get 6, then you've won.
But does it feel? This is, I don't know in what capacity now you want to answer this one, but I'll just leave it up to you.
Yeah.
As you've seen the process through the years, and this is, do you think that this is an inclusive process, that it captures enough of the stakeholders in the game to have a voice, or do you feel like this is probably kind of locked out, that might need a bit of tweaking in the future, or you'd be open to that as you rise in the ranks?
is voting, and anyway, please.
Certainly, I think where the guys who came before us and how they came up with the constitution, I think then there were not so many cricket clubs as well. There were just probably about 10 of them, and then 8 were members and all. But now we've grown to over 30 cricket clubs, and if you keep it only the 8, then it feels like an exclusive club. You need to bring in more stakeholders. The principle
of those 8, is there any that is defunct? Not necessarily defunct, but not really active?
KICs haven't participated in the league for, I think, the last 2 years.
And they vote?
Yes, but they keep their right as a member.
But teams that are playing the league don't vote?
No. If you're not a member, you won't vote.
Anyway,
yeah,
Dennis, allow me to just take this to the race for chairmanship.
Yeah.
We have Mr. Fred Lutaya and Mr. Kavuma, the contestant for this. What do you make of the race so far? Just you.
You want me to speak as
no, as Dennis, not as. By the way, I studied with Dennis in Form 1, so I know this man for a very long time. I want you to talk as Dennis.
How quickly are you expelled from that school?
I was expelled quickly, but in that place. Dennis, please answer the question.
No, I think Phil's biggest claim to fame in that school is that he was in the same house with one of the greatest cricketers ever played in this country. So, but I think both gentlemen have served the game. I think I remember even when I was young, Fred Ultai was serving on the board of Uganda Cricket. He's been around. He understands cricket inside out. Same thing with Jackson. Jackson served as team manager. When I was on the board. He was the secretary of the association. So both of them have served the game of cricket. In my opinion, I feel that we have like two very good candidates who have offered themselves for leadership. Like I said, unfortunately, our the most popular person may not necessarily be the one to win the election. It's only the one who does their politics well and do the groundwork well will be able to take the day. So sometimes, and that is sort of the feeling that has been in the fraternity, that for us it's not a popularity contest. The guy who doesn't even do any media interviews could easily win on the day, because for him he's been able to do the politicking and all.
Yeah, but I'm starting to worry for your chances.
As stakeholders, of course the sport belongs to the people. There was a time I was talking to one, I don't remember which player it was on the national team, and I told them the name in front of the shirt will never change. It's Uganda. That shirt before has had Kamyuka, it has had Okia, now it has your name. In 5 years, it will have someone else's name.
Exactly.
So the stakeholders are still the Ugandans. From what I've seen with elections, is normally a person that has been actively serving. For example, let me use it politically. Let me just look at Museveni vis-a-vis Chagulani. Not that in this case there's a Museveni and a Chagulani. But when you're Museveni, because you've been in power, we've seen your shortcomings. We've seen your failures. But when you're Chagulani and you've never been in power, everything is a promise. There is no marking guide of what you fail to do this, you fail to do this. So normally, in many cases, elections they tilt in favor of the challenger. Now, in this case, Mr. Kavuma has been the Secretary General, and we all know he has been running the association. Thank you for saying so there are things. Have you heard about anything to do with the World Cup and allegations of, which are not allegations now, because he has confirmed some of the things. For example, his family members traveling and the association getting an invoice in that regard to pay money that was spent on someone's wife or children. Have you heard some of these things? I think they paint him as a person that has already been in the chair. Not that chair, but
yeah, he's been the secretary anyway. So I think the problem has been depending on who you listen to and who you take the narrative from.
Let us listen from you.
Yes,
yes.
That a lot of guys have the sort of the trend has been you did this, I did that, which in a way doesn't help cricket. Jackson admitted to traveling with his family. He was made payments for the same for his family. So it's sort of
first wait.
What are you accusing him? Are you accusing him of the family or using UCA resources?
First wait, Dennis. This is not a conversation that we should maybe be having.
Yeah.
However, it is very disturbing for you as the mouthpiece of the association to say what you've just said above. The boss of the association traveled with his family to the World Cup, and he says Oba put his money or something. There is nowhere it should ever happen, whether football or basketball or anything, that a boss in governance of that sport goes for the World Cup with their family, and then the International Cricket Council sends an invoice to the local organization that tubabanja sente zino nga kwa yo list kuliko erinnya lya mukazi wa boss n'amanya g'abaana be. There is no way, for example, FIFA should ever send an invoice to Uganda that has Magogo's children's names. I don't care whether Magogo says, okay, I've put back the money, I put back the money. This is a sport where we are sending a team, we are sending a cricket team to the World Cup. That invoice, the International Cricket Council should never ever even know your wife's name. Should go over, because I don't think it's something we should be defending.
That's why
it's not a conversation I really want to have.
We are not defending his actions, but we are saying that depending on where you get the context from, those of us who are privy to the details of what happened, know a different story from those that are not. So whatever narrative that you have, then maybe that is one that will convince you more than the actual information.
No, I'm saying certain names should never appear on any document.
Yeah. Then the problem started from where the document came from and why was it being shared anyway. The information could have been for just accounting purposes in office, and someone used it maliciously.
Yeah, but let us move on from that.
You know how these things work.
Let us move on. I honestly don't want to have that conversation.
Exactly. But, that's why a lot of people in the front end have been disappointed because the rest between the two has been nasty. To personal things. Yeah, you did this, you did that. Both of them, like so they are really into cricket. They are committed to the game. But a lot of different
that race, because there is a lot of dirty stuff moving around from either side. I can't say any of the side. Of course, it shows how much they want to serve the game, which at the end of the day is a good thing.
I think the guys that wanted to make it look like the side that shouts the loudest should be the one to carry the day. And we've missed out on listening to what are you going to do for development? Are you going to get us a new ground? Are you going to get the national team to another World Cup? You know, that detail, which is the most important.
To Chavanja ground, by the way. To
Chavanja. Dennis, I'll go back to the fact that you mentioned that, you talked about serving the association as a comms manager for 4 years, and now you're moving on to the secretary role. If you do win it, so who fills in your shoes? Do you handpick someone, or what's the criteria for getting a new comms person for the union?
No, I think I've said
the association.
Over time, I think one of the things, this is something that came up probably 2 years ago. I started to think about that when I leave, what do we do? So I've been working with a couple of young boys in the fraternity, teaching them what to do. I would be giving opportunities for them to travel where we can, to try and learn the ropes of the game, and start to get their own media connections, know who Phil is, know who Tabo is, so that those relations we can keep the conversation going. So we have guys in the fraternity who have
Tabo is lobbying.
I know. It's clear saying that someone is leaving that job. I know there's a job here, so please, who's taking it up? But we have guys that can take up the responsibility.
All right. We'll take calls 0703979797 or just on 869799797. If you have any questions for Dennis, you just call us and get him. Phil, anyone else with the...
there is always enough to talk about. Personally, like I've said, I think what Dennis says when he says he has served as media manager or whatever for the team for 4 years, I think he does himself an injustice. I think Dennis has been part of the sport for a very... And cricket is weird. You don't run for the post Dennis is running for when you've just been around for 4 years. Trust me, you don't do that. So I think he does himself a disservice by saying that. From the time I met this man, which I can comfortably tell you is over 20 years ago, he's been passionate and already been a part of the sport. So it does himself injustice.
We have a beeper there.
Who do you think wins, Dennis? For you and Chiboka Musoke, who do you think wins?
First of all, the principle remains that the both of us will serve as board members, irrespective of who takes the win.
Then why contest? I think it matters who wins.
But if we are going by batting averages, I think
because
he's clear there.
Batting, of course. This man wasn't a very big batter. One of the best wicket keepers we've had, though. But Dennis, because you know who votes, and of course the lobbying has been done. It's being done as we speak. That is why some clubs are changing, given the people who are going to vote on their behalf. Who do you think wins?
I think it's still very, very close, very, very even. But the both of us have spoken to the delegates. So at the end of the day, this is a secret ballot. You speak to Phil, you speak to Pius, you speak to Tabu, and each one of them, sort of give you their, they tell you that we'll stay with you. But so we'll just find out the ballot.
Okay, now that you've used that answer for your race, that it's a close race, we've talked to the. What do you think wins between Fred and Kavuma? You can't give us the same answer. I hope you know that.
You're asking something.
No. Let me see you not back your boss right now.
But I feel as it's putting me on the spot. But
it's too hot in the studio.
I want to skip that.
You prefer not to answer that? Okay. How is your club voting?
Oh, by the way, the engagements we have for the rest of the year. When are we in Tanzania for?
We'll be in Tanzania next year, early next year. But this year, I think the big one for the cricket cranes is going to be the Africa T20 finals. That will be in September in Zimbabwe. An opportunity for us to go back to the World Cup. And we feel that this team is at the peak of their powers.
Really?
And I think they should.
I'll tell you this. Personally, there have been certain changes and all that. I feel like it's going to be harder. Of course, now we have both Zim and Namibia.
Yeah.
And only 2 qualify.
Yeah.
Last time we didn't have. Who wasn't there? Oh, last time we beat Zim.
Yeah, last time we beat Zim.
Yes.
And this time, the opportunity is because Namibia is struggling. They're sort of changed after the T20 World Cup.
All they needed, remember, they just had to go and do the bare minimum at the World Cup, and they failed.
Exactly. And they've just been playing their sort of challenge league in Oman, and they were terrible.
So you think we might have a chance?
Yeah. Zimbabwe is a different opponent when they play at home.
Yeah, for them, they are.
Yeah, they fill up that ground.
Exactly.
It's very loud, and they have very big grounds. And meaning for a team like Uganda who like to hit sixes, you get in trouble as well. So, but Namibia is a team that is there for the taking. When we went for the other World Cup, we thought if we beat Namibia or Zimbabwe, we get in there. So this time you go in thinking that this Namibia game, if we kill them off, then we should be able to get through. So. Zimbabwe as well, you give them a chance because they're at home, but they're a team that you can beat.
But the ladies?
The ladies will be playing their qualifiers as well. We have 3 big tournaments this year. The under-19 boys will be going to Nigeria from March the 26th to April the 4th to try and qualify for another World Cup. The boys will be going to, the cricket cranes will be going to Zimbabwe for the T20 finals, and the girls will also be going to Namibia later in the year to play in the qualifiers for the global. The last ones that were in Entebbe. This time they're in Namibia. So if the year goes according to script, we'll have 2 teams at the World Cup, and the ladies team also qualify.
We've been to the last World Cup, I think, the one before last, the one in the West Indies, and about 3 years ago, I saw the next Ugandan team watching these kids. They were just all these kids were. It was just a matter of time, and of course, their coach then was a coach that had coached the South African under-19 and taken them to the World Cup. But you could see and say this is the national team in the next 5 or 6 years. What do you think has happened? Because, and I'm sure you understand the question. It's like each and every one of them has gone behind.
The law of averages, especially in those junior teams, normally is that if you're so lucky, especially even at the bigger teams, only 4 out of that generation normally progresses on to go on and play for the national team. So in that generation, you have Juma Miyagi for now, Cyrus Kakuru, and Pascal Moronji.
Yeah, who was also
but
been
the
in
other
and
two,
out.
they're sort of fringe players. Even
the guys you talk about, we have many of them being water boys against Mozambique. And honestly, I think the fact that we import talent, the fact that we can pick up someone from Asia and give them a passport and they represent this country is really affecting the growth of some of these players.
That's a disconnect, and we sort of spoke about it last year, where we're trying to make sure we use the Uganda A team to try and fast track the development of players who come from the junior team so that they're good enough to play at the international level. Pascal may be good among his age mates, but then you not be,
I seem to remember we had that system already in place.
But it wasn't being reinforced and functional. But now we hope that it can work much better. so that we have the grumbling has been around that the color in the team is changing, and we want to make sure that the team remains representative of who we are and where we come from.
All right. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you very, very much for checking in on us again. Of course, all the best with the election.
Sure the studio is hot today. Everything was hot.
I will talk to my Ichigondo. You can say I'm shirtless today. I'll make a picture of that if you want, listener. We're going to take a very short break. Actions Water Radio 97 FM, back with some of your highs and lows. This is James Shazemutai. Says, hi, is you guys in studio. He says, is a back? That man is a genius. Peter, is he a genius?
With food, yes.
Absolutely. Low is Liverpool slowing down. I think it's time for Nunes to move on. Phil, you are right. Arsenal fans. This is Edwin Vibe. Says, personally, I just want to appreciate Dennis for a job well done. Yes, he's done quite the job, I say. Him and, with those comms, of course, what we said, wish him well in his endeavors, but at least we can promise we'll bring him back here, whether he's one or not. Let's just get very quickly into some local sport before we turn that page into football. We have a big one, Peter. Cobb's Pirates.
Yep.
Doesn't get bigger. It does get bigger, but yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a highlight game of all the games happening today across the country in the Rugby Premiership. It's taken a 2-week break because of the passing of Kayondo, whose jersey was officially retired by his club. A sad situation right there. And the mourning for sure does go on or does continue. You want to think that, the players will now have to gather themselves and get back to action. The Eagles themselves are away to the Mongas, but to the main game, Cobbs this week confirmed a partnership or extended their contract with their sponsors, KCB. The money was doubled to 175 million from what they were receiving last season. It's a 1-year contract. And, the Cobbs faithfuls were preaching and talking about how important this was, to motivate the players and the team moving into, the remaining games of the season. Very important for Cobbs because we all know they didn't start well. Had a bumpy start here and there, but I think they've managed to pull themselves together and pick up results here and there. They're playing an unbeaten Pirates team so far this season, who are welcoming back arguably one of Uganda's best fly halves that has represented the country, and also played for Pirates in Ivan Magomu. He's been serving a suspension. That's done. Everyone is waiting to see how that is going to look like. But I think if you've looked at the Pirates team sheet, if I could call it that way, Magomo is not at 10 like it was supposed to be. He's definitely not in that position that is normally played. Actually, it's William Nkore who is still going to play right there, and I think he'll get a few minutes. Of course, game performance is different from practice. I know he's been practicing, but again, what happens in the match situation is a different thing altogether. But wait and see. I'm pretty sure he will have to be involved in one or another. But it's a major game. It's a big game there. If Cobbs pull up a surprise and get a result, then there will be a massive statement in the league so far. But yeah, it's a big game, whichever you look at it.
Big game indeed. The games elsewhere, you'll have Walukopa taking on Warriors, while the Buffaloes take on the Sharks. The Mongas are taking on the Eagles, the grieving Eagles, while the Ginger Hippos take on the Heathens. I think the early game there must be Rhinos and the Wolves. I think that game is at Legends, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, that number 10 being retired, Ronnie Kayondo's number 10, may his soul rest in peace. Of course, the family talking about insurance being the issue for them, that they want the federation to, the union to focus on. I don't know what your thoughts are on that one. Achievable player insurance?
I think there is still a long way to go.
There's not enough money in rugby.
Yeah, there's not enough money in rugby. But I think one of the things that should be looked at is maybe more regular checkups on these players, especially games. They should really have those reports that indicate that maybe someone needs to rest more. Concussions, I think, for me, are the main cause of really terrible or life-threatening injuries. So I feel like that should be really the focus. Try and make sure that concussed players are looked after more, or probably that situation is handled better over time, so that they can rest well, and by the time they are ready to come back, they are indeed ready to come back.
Yeah, and let's just point out, this was a freak. When you listen to the things, the circumstances, unaware how they got to this, they were in hospital in good time, but things happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's always, of course, ways you can mitigate some of these injuries. Of course, we always want the best for these players, and may his soul rest in peace. All right, we'll keep getting those highs and lows, so you can just send those through. But right about now, we'll turn to Albert, who is down in Libya. Good afternoon, Albert. I think I have Albert with us, do I? Hello.
Good afternoon, Pius. Good afternoon, the lads. How's everybody in Kampala?
Hot.
We are good. How are you? How are you, sir?
Hello.
How are you?
I am alive, champion Tabu.
Good job in there. Good job in there yesterday.
We barely scraped by. Should have been bigger of a result than we got, but a W is a W. We'll take the W.
It got quite hairy there at the end. For the uninitiated, can you explain to us what was going on with that final possession? 3 points up, Uganda. We are trying to, of course, not to turn the ball over again like we had just done in those last few minutes. And it was just, I don't know, nerve-wracking. But what was going on there?
First off, that's a Cape Verde team that we have now played 6 times in the last 5 years. We first played against Cape Verde in November of 2020 in Alexandria, Egypt, during the qualifiers for the 2021 AfroBasket. Since then, yesterday was our 6th game against them, and the series is now tied at 3-3. We beat them in Alexandria, then we beat them in Benguela, then they beat us at AfroBasket in the quarterfinals, then they beat us in Rwanda in the qualifiers, then we beat them again yesterday, and they had beaten us last year in Tunis. So that's what the series is like now. Yesterday, yes, we should have attempted to score at the last minute. And if you notice, Opong took a 3 with 1 second left because he was now sure that by the time the ball goes through the air and lands at the rim, the clock will be done. The problem was that we needed the win more than the goal difference first. And the worry was that if you attempt too early in the shot clock and you miss, they get a rebound and they could get a heave at the rim and force overtime, or they could take a timeout, start the ball at the half court, and then you now have a problem if they could win the game or go to overtime. So we didn't want to take the chance. We wanted to ensure the win first. But yes, we should have attempted to score because Cape Verde beat us by 5 in the first round. We have now beaten them by 3. If push comes to shove and we all end up on 3 wins and it becomes a plus-minus issue, those 2 points or 3 points we could have scored at that time might come back to bite us. But it's unlikely that and all 4 teams in our division, in our group, would have to end up on 3 wins. And that is quite unlikely right now. But it's not impossible. Basketball is basketball. Anything is likely. But if that happens and we all end up on 3 wins, it means that we go to no more goal difference. So there's no plus minus between individual teams unless your goal difference then ties up with each other. So many things have to happen before us and Cape Verde go to a head-to-head. Because currently we have 2 wins and they have 3. So for that to happen, a lot of things have to point in that direction for that idea to happen.
Yeah. So this basically is a nemesis of ours, you could say, in this whole qualification equation here. How did we get it right? You look at the box score at the end, turnovers really high, rebounding, maybe we've actually matched them on that. But you are part of the technical team, even though there was a debate going on in studio in your absence, looking at the team, the team shot before they played the first game, and you were conspicuously missing there. But what went right for us?
I've never been on the team sheet. I am a water boy. We do our job before. Even in the pictures of the tip-off, actually, if you noticed, I wasn't there because I had run to get something from the hotel that we needed before tip-off. So I missed the tip-off of the game. I actually came in with about 4 minutes or so played in the first quarter. But what we got right, I mean, we knew that we had to be physical enough to match them. We had to be to match their athleticism. They're a very athletic, physical, aggressive side, but they also have 2-3 guys that can absolutely shoot the lights out. We did a great job on most of them yesterday. If you notice, their threes mostly came from their point guard, and he's called De La Rosa, and Shane Da Rosa, and Anderson Correa. Anderson Correa, actually, per scouting report, is not a shooter. He's a dunker, he's an athletic rim runner, transition player. But because of the scouting report, we hedged so much on the other guys, and he got about 4 or 5 open looks and made about 3 of them. That happens at this level when players have been playing at this level for so long. Eventually, they can make a shot if you leave them open. And that's what happened. But we countered them on most of the things. We played really aggressive defense in the second half, and we were able to get enough bodies to put in front of them to be able to scrape away the result. The job yesterday was to get a win against Cape Verde, and I think the boys did amazing. Everyone that came onto the floor contributed. We played 10 deep. Only 2 guys didn't play yesterday, Obleng and Kaira. And I think Ivan, actually. 3 guys didn't play yesterday. Those 3 guys will still be crucial. They will still be needed across the length of the tournament. It's a long tournament. 3 games in 3 days. People get tired. Bodies get crushed. So everybody will be absolutely required to stay ready for when their name is called. And so far, so good.
Albert, I noticed that in the second and third, in the third and fourth quarter, Cape Verde opted to shoot the ball more from the arc, and looks like Uganda also let them, attempt those shots. But well, like you said, some of the shots didn't actually go in. Is that something that is going to change? Is that based on the scouting report you guys did and felt maybe they would not shoot as much? Because I felt if they all went in, or if majority went in, would be in serious trouble.
One, it also points you to the defense who playing the 11 in the second half. Guys stepped up the lanes. There wasn't enough opportunity for them to drive through our lane. Secondly, we are a very young side, so putting pressure on the ball against us and as they did the first half, as you out in the second half, and threes now. We that is not that good about the North African teams. So if you're outside top threes, we are comfortable with just containing and contesting those shots. You put them up, we get a rebound and come at you on the fast break and see how that goes. But the higher percentage shot is always in the lane and at the rim. And as long as you attempt to take threes from the outside, we do our job in contesting them and playing good defense on them. We are comfortable picking up that rebound and having not trouble our rim.
Well, what's your scouting report for Nigeria looking like then?
They're a much better side than the side that we played against last year. They are much more improved across the board in all departments. They really pressure the ball. If you think Cape Verde pressures the ball, they go 2-3 times higher. They have a player in Kale Bagada who is much better than most of the guards that are on that Cape Verde team. He's averaging a damn near triple-double in China. They have a really good shooter in Hearts. They have an experienced big man in Talib Zana who will cause some problems. But so do we. We have players that are seasoned in the business of African basketball. They proved it yesterday, some of them. Robinson Opong, everlasting. Tony Drilleba had a good game. Ishmael Wainwright, of course, is Ishmael Wainwright, premium player in this competition. So we will go at each other. They are a very athletic side. So we have to be very patient on how we manage the basketball. They put a lot of pressure on the basketball. So we have to be very careful with those turnovers. If we turn over the ball as much as we did yesterday, we'll be kicked out of the park. So our guards have to do a better job of taking care of the ball. And if we do that well and take our chances well, we will home and draw.
Yeah, looking at those stats yesterday for turnovers was you wince a little bit watching that. Talking about ball pressure, then it's going to be definitely double there. Who has been to the treatment room early this morning?
Nobody so far. It's just maintenance, usual fatigue and whatever. But all our guys are injury free. Everybody is ready to go.
All right. Maybe lastly, for Uganda out there, what should the Silverbacks do to qualify for AfroBasket ahead of today's game against Nigeria?
Win the game in all spheres. Win your matchup as an individual. Win loose ball battles and rebounding battles, and switching and helping battles as a team. You do that and you will win the ball game. Uganda needs one to get to AfroBasket, and I'm confident in the boys' hunger to be able to go pull it off.
All right. Wish you all the best, Albert.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Tony Jali Murunji is ready to go.
All right. Cheers, Albert, all the way from Libya. That's where he's best now with the Silverbacks. Of course, we are taking on Nigeria. This is back to back. Anyway, we'll move on. We're going to take a very short break when we return. It is football from here, Pakakejenge. Actions out here, Radio City 97 FM. Back with football now until the end of the show, I guess. But not that variety. We'll start with Nkoke Nganda. So you can variety Nganda. What's going on at KCCA? Are we supposed to be worried for certain Abdallah Mubiru? the deficit there to the top is growing. The results are shameful if you consider the individual results. These are derbies that KCF fans don't want to lose.
Yeah, they don't because of the history of the club, and they also feel like the team is well stacked up, so they should be able to perform so well. But I want to flip the coin a bit here and cut some slack for Abdallah Mobiru. A couple of things that I feel should be noted with how KC has performed so far since the start of the second round. I think their first game in the second round was against NEC FC, a team that ended the first round with a lot of rhythm, and a team that was really highly motivated. I felt when the second round started, they put up the same show and were able to win that game. After that, they took on Vipers, a team that was also, on a run, at least, getting results, had very, key players who are getting them the points that they needed. Both teams that they played had players really that were on a momentum and that had momentum and were able to actually execute and get, wins as required. So it was always going to be tough for Abdallah Mobiru's team that, for me, I feel is also riddled with injuries. Some of their key players are struggling with form. You want to think it's going to be hard for him to deal with injuries and form and then try and get a result from them. So I understand the KCCA fans, but I'm also saying that some of these things came a bit, quite a number of factors that have made it hard for KCCFC to bounce back. That said, some players on the team need to step up. You look at that performance against NEC FC. You feel Bato Benchan, experienced defender. A ball comes in the air. You are looking at your goalkeeper and you want to control that ball, yet you're not sure where it's going to land on your feet. And you have Alan Okello right next to you. He's going to punish you. So he controls the ball poorly. Alan Okello jumps on the ball, punishes him. The Yunus Sentamu goal was a brilliant goal. I mean, any goalkeeper would struggle to make a save, with how he curled the ball in and all. But some of those mistakes are the ones that cost the team. And of course, on the other end, especially the forward line, you have Derek Isibambi, who I feel is playing way too deep as a forward. And by the time he's back up front, he probably doesn't have the energy to put that ball in the net. You have a Joel Serunjoji who is not as consistent as he should be in the middle of the park. So there's just quite a lot for Abdallah Mobiru to deal with. I think they just need that one person with character in the team to stand up and say, guys, let's get back to winning ways and let's really help this team perform. And I feel if they do that, they will turn the corner. For now, no one is ready to raise his hand up, and that is why the team is struggling.
All right. Terrible results for KCL Vipers, though. Good result, top result on a game week where NEC dropped points against Police, but fantastic win for Vipers, for Villa against Express. Express themselves, what the hell happened in the Uganda Cup? Is this the biggest upset in Uganda Cup history?
No, I think there's been quite a number, but at least that wasn't a very, very good performance from Express. This is a regional team, Total FC from Yumbe that eliminated them by a 0-0.
They're in a refugee camp.
Yeah, but also Express has also not made it any better for themselves. They also have financial issues. Some players didn't travel. The captain, Emmanuel Rosa, wasn't part of the team and is not injured, so maybe opted not to feature in that one. And it becomes hard for you to make a case for them.
Yeah, but maybe we should keep an eye on Total FC because are they Toto FC because they have they eliminated another Uganda Premier League side. So unless we're just deciding to sleep on them, maybe. But anyway, Kitara beating Bright Stars 2-0. Good stuff in there. Of course, there's a bit of a cup now mixed in. We have fixtures for that too. But we won't dwell much on what's happening right there on home soil. Let's also get into that discussion about Europe. Phil, those Champions League draws, or is it Europa League guys also want some love?
Not kept tabs on the Europa League. I've seen the Europa League draw, and but it's not my cup of tea. I think I pay attention at semi-final and final. Some of these teams you can't even mention. So I think the majority of the talk. But I know Manchester United plays Sociedad.
Yep.
In the Europa League. Of course, that can go anywhere. Other notable ones, I don't know who Roma play.
Roma playing
Bilbao.
Yeah, that should be a good one.
That should be a good one. Fenerbahce, Rangers. And I've looked at, I'm actually looking at the draw now. And when you look at the side that has Roma, Bilbao, Fenerbahce, Sociedad, and Manchester United, you feel like that is the tougher side of the draw. The other one, of course, the ones that stand out are Lazio and Tottenham. But I think majority bias is about the European Champions League.
All right. Well, we shall not even bother with the Conference League, where you have the likes of Borac, Celje, Pafos, and Djurgården. So, no.
Djurgården.
Yeah.
From Sweden.
Yeah. Djurgården. All right. So, the Champions League draw, Phil, then. How did these two Dutch teams find themselves in this one? Are we going to take them seriously? Should Arsenal be worried?
Like I said earlier, Arsenal shouldn't be very worried. Clearly, they're a better team than PSV. The problem is when you underestimate the opposition. And, of course, Arsenal themselves have had well-documented injury issues. You hope that maybe there are some returnees, especially maybe for the second leg of this. I think Arsenal are just going to get stronger as the season goes on. So I shouldn't be very worried for them.
Final, those should feel like if they eliminate Inter, they should be given the keys to the city. I mean,
they would have done both Milan clubs.
Yeah, especially after that and took their best player and still got eliminated.
Yeah, the SC took their best player, Santa Jimenez, but I'm starting to think he wish he had stayed. They got rid of SC without a manager, really, because they fired their manager 2 days before the first leg of these particular Champions League ties. They've now brought in Robin van Persie, depending on where you stand, either former Arsenal legend or former, I don't know, Man United legend, depending on where you stand. But these are uncharted waters for Dutch teams. Like I said earlier on, this is the first time we've had two Dutch teams in the round of 16 since 2006. So you would assume Inter and Arsenal are favorites going into those two ties that have Dutch opposition.
All right, so some of these ties are sickening, like Bayern having to play Leverkusen. Real Madrid take on Atletico, another Madrid derby. By the way, for Madrid, they are home. Are they home to this weekend? Yeah, they are home to Girona. Could have something to say about their title race, but maybe not. They don't have Jude Bellingham, who got into trouble for the F word. How he used it, either like Logan Roy or like a typical British man would do. But hearing Carlo Ancelotti explaining that in a post-match press conference was kind of hilarious, not using the filter. Barcelona, though, are away to Las Palmas, while Atletico, the aforementioned Atletico, are away to Valencia. Italy would be the other port of call, really, to care about. But the Premier League will jump on field because Liverpool have a big one against PSG, but we'll come to that as we talk about their engagement with Manchester City later on. But first of all, Premier League, those fixtures this week, because it's only yesterday, weekend to be specific. Yesterday, Brentford serving a cold one to Leicester City. Wissam, Buemo, Nogard, and I think Carvalho are the scorers in that one. But as the weekend does roll on, games are running out of games. Everton are home to Manchester United, Phil.
Yeah.
Not your usual Everton, though.
Yeah, a different Everton. an Everton that has been winning games, an Everton that is above Manchester United in the table. These things don't happen very often for Everton to be above Manchester United this late in the season. Actually, the last time Everton were above Manchester United this late in the season, the Manchester United manager was David Moyes, who is now the Everton manager. But Everton have gone 5 games unbeaten, 4 wins. The only game they didn't win was that 2-2 draw, Tokowski and Liverpool Football Club. Manchester United themselves, we saw them making a mess of themselves last weekend against Tottenham. That was actually the 10th time in 25 games that they have failed to score a single goal. That is proper relegation form. Problem for them is they could even meet that Tottenham in the Europa final.
At least they're scoring enough to have a goal of the month competition.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a heated race, that one. But for United, the more you watch them, and them going to Everton, these are games you would predict with ease some years ago. Like ease, without even thought. But now we know, and it's very documented, that the squad can't do or pull off the formation and the type of football that Amorim wants them to play. My problem, though, is him as a manager is making it worse by sticking to that, when he has clearly told us, I don't have the players to do this. Now, I don't understand how it is possible for a manager, even leave Manchester United level, even though you say Maroons Football Club or Mbarara City, I don't know how it's possible for a manager to have only one style of play and one formation and no plan B. I just don't know how it's possible in the world that you can make it even to the level of Maroons as a coach. Ngagwa mupira go, no matter who you're playing, elinakuba 4-4-2, elinakuba overstegna chengamba. Because even the Man Cities, we've seen them mix it up. I mean, Pep, over and over, he comes up with the inverted fullbacks. Now he's playing it over the top. You saw that beautiful goal, the beautiful goal where Haaland tucks in and Mamouche runs off. Gwetwayinza kubaawo no kirizambo abasambi benina tebasobola samba kyensamba naye notakikyusa. So of course, massive question marks about a potential fraud of a manager at Old Trafford. And for them to be below Everton is just ridiculous.
Scandalous.
At this point of the season, this is an Everton that was fighting relegation 3-4 games ago. So,
and also, apart from him sticking to that style of play that he thinks is going to help Manchester United, I don't think he's also helping the situation with what he says, before and after games. You know, if you're a manager and you say things like when the way the team plays is when you look at how the team plays, it's harder for you to even get a solution, and yet you're the manager and you're the one supposed to make sure that the team improves by the weekend or every after weekend. I think you're even making it harder, one, for the players that you have on that team, because you're already telling them you don't think they can get any better or they can push further to help the team win. But also, most importantly, even that motivation and morale you need
even the player selection
becomes hard.
What this guy does now that we know, his feet are in concrete and the concrete dried. Now that concrete is basically 3 at the back, I think 5 in the middle, then 3 up front, who are very narrow, by the way. But these wing backs are Dalo or Mazraoui. Now, what happens is, because they are not proper wingers, is when, not Mazraoui, what's the other guy's name? There is Dalo there, this side, and there is a new kid that came in, something. But because they are literally natural defenders, when they get forward, they don't know what to do. It's not like in a one-on-one situation, Dalot cannot make an overstep and do a sucker. Go. So when they get into those positions, the attacks die there. But so the quickest solution at Manchester United now, at least until the end of the season, is to abandon this playing style, to go to a formation that suits these players as you sort it out. But the moment you keep asking bano bagundi badalo bagende maso bakole basaka bye bakola, you're in trouble. So for me, the manager is the problem.
If United are not piling on those points, if it was a different season, United would definitely.
How many points do they have now?
They're on 29.
29. Wow. Back in the day, you needed 40 points to avoid getting relegated. Of course, these days with Southampton around 9 or 10 points, but they would be in huge trouble.
They're just 12 points above the drop zone, but there are only two teams between them and the drop zone. So it's just incredible, United and the kind of season they're having. But for Everton, though, Phil, last weekend they scored their first goal from a counter-attack this season.
Wow.
Beto's goal in the 42nd minute. That's a nice one, by the way. So that is your Everton. United have it all to do. Is this part of your predictions?
It looks very tough. Let me just make up my mind. It needs some more thought. Right now, I don't see how United win it. It's possible for David Moyes to also beat David Moyes against United. So let me just give it some thought. I still have about 10 minutes or so.
We should have gotten the self-confessed United fan, Albert, to give us his thoughts on the matter. Anyway, Bournemouth, Phil, European-bound Bournemouth hosting Wolves. I don't know what you think of this rise of theirs.
I think they are going to tonk Wolves. I think they are going to put minimum 3.
Would you advise someone to just go and just splurge on Cunha and just get him out of his misery in that place?
Yeah, Cunha is a top bowler. There were talks about Cunha and Arsenal in January. Of course, the January market is kind of different depending on what you're doing. Arsenal acted, they have their blame and all that stuff. But Cunha is better than Wolves. And teams like Wolves are used to this. They are not retirement homes for players. They are not destinations. Once you get a good player and you can fork out, someone can fork out 60, 70 million, that does a lot for the club. So, to answer your question, I don't think Cunha will be at Wolves next season.
All right. Why do I keep remembering something about Wolves and an old
Did Jota ever play at Wolves?
Yeah.
Jota? He did. He did.
That's where he came from.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So,
Jota, Neto.
Yeah. They're used to players going through the Molineux.
Big Bad Wolf, maybe to stop Bournemouth in their tracks there. They have designs on climbing up to 45 points, which would put them ahead of Manchester City, and definitely will be willing them on when they play Liverpool later on tomorrow. You have Ipswich taking on Tottenham. I wanted to put my stake on some Tottenham goals to come out of this game, but I don't know. I've given up on Ipswich. I'm done giving them props, unless they just go on a run. But
they have 3 wins this season, Ipswich. The first win was against Tottenham. They've already beaten Tottenham. They beat them earlier on this season. I think that Tottenham was a stronger Tottenham than the Tottenham now. I'm not so sure, but
for the benefit of the Tottenham, they have some of their players back. They're starting to get some of their
they're starting to get some of their players back. We've started seeing some of the January signings also get onto the pitch. They've found, in the absence of other players, they found some real interesting solutions. I think Spence looks really good at a fullback.
I think he's going to give some questions to
Udogi.
Yes, when Udogi
yes. I don't think Udogi gets back into that squad. Bagval looks good in the middle of the park. Maddison is back. He can control a game for about 60, 70 minutes. So Tottenham look good. But Pius, you have to be careful how you refer to them. We just called them Tottenham. This week, Tottenham ordered all media, like people who show the Premier League, you at Radio City, that no one should refer to them as Tottenham again. We should only refer to them as Tottenham Hotspur or Spurs. So even Premier League commentators are now banned from just calling them Tottenham.
It's not quite a ban, it's a request.
It's a request, but I mean, what clubs do, if they request you to do that and you don't do it, they start blacklisting you. We've seen this. You go for a press conference at the stadium and your pass can't work and stuff. So at the end of the line, you fall. At the end of the day, you fall in line.
They were keeping it quiet anyway. They know how ridiculous this is. But they've been trying to run away from this, I think, since around 2011, when there were riots over that side. Of course, the rich guys are the ones who don't want to be associated with this now anymore. But actually, in that part of London, I believe they're called the real fans. The Spurs, they're officially called, I think, top Spurs by the people of the area. Not even hot Spurs, top Spurs.
They actually want people to use. I think they realize their marketing is in the word Spur. So now don't mention them without Spur, either Tottenham Hotspur or just Spurs. And earlier this season, I think at the start of the season, is when they changed their badge. And on the badge, they removed the word Tottenham. Yeah. So the word Tottenham doesn't appear on their badge anymore. Yeah, but anyway, it's one of those useless things for you to know.
They're trying to run it from a legacy. Anyway, at least they're trying to stop Fergie from saying, lads, it's Tottenham. You can just change it to lads, it's Spurs. It still has the same ring to it, Spurs. Not fooling anyone. The Northern rivals do have a bit of an assignment on paper at home to West Ham.
Yeah, they do.
Depending on which West Ham shows up.
And also depending on which Arsenal that shows up. If Arsenal show up, it doesn't matter what West Ham do. For starters, last weekend, Merino getting the headlines. But for me, Waneri was a standout player in that game, made the first goal, hit the post twice. Possibly their most dangerous player right now. But Arsenal on a good run. They are now on their best unbeaten run under Mikel Arteta. They are now 15 games unbeaten. That is actually the longest unbeaten run Arsenal has been on since the 2010-2011 season. So you could argue they are in sparkling form, at least in regards to the results. Some of these results have been labored, but as long as you put a point or three on the board, just keep it ticking. And that's why I believe this game is very, very important before Liverpool play City. For Arsenal themselves, their fixtures are not that easy, the fixtures that are coming up, because after West Ham, I believe Arsenal go away to Nottingham Forest, then they go away to Manchester United, then they play Chelsea at home. So after today, their next Premier League games are Forest away, Man United away, Chelsea home. When you're playing when you're playing West Ham before those games, you must beat West Ham. Now, Arsenal's problem is Arsenal have very many enemies. I keep telling people the Premier League has more clubs from London than any other place. So, West Ham look at this as a derby. You understand what I mean? West Ham would love to do bad things to Arsenal. Not maybe as motivated as they would to do the same things to Liverpool. Then you have Forest who are chasing Champions League next. You have Man United who knocked them out of the cup and somehow have the ability to disappoint Arsenal. They just hate them as well. Then you have Chelsea after that will be fighting for Champions League and also look at it as a derby. So Arsenal's fixtures don't look really good in the interim. But for West Ham, it's a club that is struggling, a club with history. People might not know this. Of course, I believe this game is at the Emirates. But for West Ham, they are the sixth highest. How do I say that, Muluzungu? They basically have the sixth highest revenue in the English Premier League. When you look at teams and the money they are making, they're number 6. That's a lot of money. Of course, that's helped a lot by the fact that their stadium, only Manchester United, have higher attendances on a weekly basis than West Ham. They have more than 60,000 people every week. As a result, we've seen them being involved a bit in the transfer market and stuff like that. But to get back to this game, Arsenal should win this. And if they win this, 5 points behind Liverpool. Liverpool going to Etihad. I'm telling you, we have a title race.
A title race.
And they still have to play Liverpool Football Club. But if it wouldn't be Arsenal can also draw this game and Liverpool beat Man City.
Oh no, they can win and
we are only really interested in your prediction.
No, the fact is, I really want a title race. Okay. I'm really rooting for Arsenal to give us something.
So you're not going to give us objective predictions for Arsenal?
No, I'm going to give you I can give you the Arsenal prediction if you want it.
No. But anyway, let's see whether they recorded what losses of 17 million this week. Maybe if they need a striker, they won't have to go and buy one. Let's see whether they will chuck Merino up front. By the way, about Merino, I found myself with a little bit of too much time on my hands. When the sleep disappears and you have your phone in hand, and I wondered whether there were any type of ship, breeds with a name that might be like how Merino is.
Yep.
And they might be able to chuck up front. Unfortunately, there was not enough. No Premier League player is named after a breed of ship.
So Merino is sheep.
Yeah.
Oh, like Indiga.
Indiga, yeah.
It's a breed
from Spain, yeah. Actually, they used to kill Spaniards who used to smuggle a Merino ship out of the country.
I know another more popular animal that I'm not very familiar with sheep and its meat. And
though I found there's a Wiltshire though, but not Wiltshire, but Wiltshire.
Yeah, but Wiltshire, I don't think it's only sheep. I think different animals have those breeds of Wiltshire, but I've never heard of Merino.
There's also a Jacob sheep, but there you go. Let's go away from the animals and talk about the ones that are galloping on the pitch. But humans, that is Southampton, home to Brighton. Brighton were very angry last week in dispatching Chelsea. Chelsea themselves was Aston Villa. Aston Villa have reason to worry, but I guess when you're going to play Chelsea, maybe you can be a little confident.
Yeah, but Aston Villa, of course, in the Champions League this week, they had issues to deal with, focused on the Champions League, but also Aston Villa played Liverpool midweek, a game beautiful game. That is the game I decided to watch, and I kept... it began before the Champions League games, so I just kept running to the City game, and so I watched that game properly. As Villa were playing Liverpool, giving Liverpool a run for their money, Chelsea were resting. Chelsea didn't play this week. And of course, that has to count now that Villa have to play Chelsea.
Chelsea also rested the other week or the week before,
and got tonked.
Yeah.
No, the week before, Chelsea lost to Brighton, I think, back to back.
Yeah. Monday and Friday.
Yeah, so that wasn't really rest.
No, Friday and Friday.
They were playing the same opposition, so they had the same number of rest days. But Chelsea have been struggling since December. Of course, they keep sliding lower and lower in the English Premier League table. And they go to Villa, and for me, this is a very easy game to call. This is one of the sures. It's one of the easiest to call this weekend, and it has some good money. Villa versus Chelsea.
So that's Chelsea's problem. Is it Jackson, the much-berated Jackson?
The goals have dried up, of course.
Now he's injured.
And it's one of those things that I said about the Arsenal guy last weekend, about Kai Havertz. I think it's identical with Jackson, that you will complain a lot when he's around. When he's not around is when you actually see what he contributes to the team in terms of just occupying players, creating spaces for the likes of Cole Palmer to survive in. It's no surprise Jackson is not there, and the goals have dried up everywhere. Defensively,
they've swapped their goalkeepers, but the goals are still going in.
Swapped the goalkeepers, but the goals keep going in. Of course, what's his name, Jorgensen or whatever, the one that has come in. I've not really seen individual errors from him. You could say it's a collective collapse of the defense. Sanchez, on the other hand, the last game we saw him, he was found in no man's land by Erling Haaland, who looped it over him. So they are weak. Before, Chelsea were weak defensively, but they just had too much firepower. Now that firepower has dried up.
It feels like the team has been made weaker. Players have left on loan and stuff. Feels like there's barely anything to draw from. But that is the late kickoff today. The others are Fulham, Crystal Palace at 6. Then your Sunday has Castle and Forest. This should be a very good one, Phil.
It should be a good one. You talked about Fulham and Palace. Fulham last weekend thumping Nottingham Forest. That game ended 2-1, but it was a proper beating. Fulham had 10 shots on target, goalkeeper making 8 saves and 2 of them going past him. And but for Newcastle, if they win this game, then I think Nottingham Forest don't qualify for the Champions League. I know Nottingham Forest
will be the team
third.
that will fall. They will have the harder fall for all the teams.
Yes, there are teams we expect to try and get into the top 5 between now and the end of the season. And when you look at the top 5 currently, there is Arsenal, Liverpool, Nottingham Forest, Man City, and Bournemouth. Now, I expect a late charge by Newcastle into the top 5. Of course, Bournemouth being there doesn't really help, but I feel like Nottingham Forest have the risk of missing out on the European Champions League if they lose this game to a direct team that is trying to get into the Champions League places. Now, Forest have been ridiculous over the last few weeks. I think you look at their last 3 games, they lost 5-0 to Bournemouth, then they beat Brighton 7-0, then they lost 2-1 to Fulham. So they could be there for the take.
Crazy swings. And just to let you in on what Nottingham's next fixtures look like, after Newcastle, they are home to Arsenal, then they are home to Ipswich, then home to Manchester City. I think they have Ipswich again, back to back. Ipswich is the FA Cup for the week. Then they have first Ipswich in the league. Then Manchester United in the league. Then Aston Villa in the league. So it's not.
They're playing. They must get something out of this. Even a draw would help. But don't give Newcastle 3 points with 11 games to go, and they're trying to hand down a Champions League slot.
They're out crazy. And why are you saying that about Nottingham? They're not there by mistake. But anyway, the game of that has turned out to have more significance than Liverpool fans would have wanted it to have. But I guess they've been circling off some of these fixtures as they've been kind of going about their business of winning this title at relative ease until the last fortnight or so.
Yeah, they have. I think they're doing their best to give us a title race. Liverpool Football Club. Last weekend against Wolves, they had no single shot on target in the second half, and I don't think that was surprising. After Wolves 2-2 against Aston Villa, I don't think that was a very bad result. The Villa result, like I said, I watched that game, could have gone either way. It had a massive miss by Darwin Núñez as well. But they've not been on crazy form. Liverpool actually have 1 win in their last 4 games in all competitions, and away from home they've only won 2 of their last 8 away games as they head into the Etihad Stadium, which is not a very good place for them to play football. Liverpool have not won a Premier League game at the Etihad in almost 10 years. Premier League away to Man City, last time they won there was November 2015. So it's not the happiest place for them to go. However, they took on during the week was brutalized by Kylian Mbappe. Manchester and Real. They were out of their depth against Real during the week, and you don't know which city is going to show up. If the city that played Newcastle at the Etihad last weekend shows up, a city that is capable of scoring 4 goals against Newcastle could get 2 against Liverpool or something, then maybe we have a game on our hands. But if the city that played against Madrid is the one that shows up, a city that looked like they didn't have Haaland in the middle of the week, and I think Manchester City over these last few years have evolved so much that they need a centre forward there. They just need a guy to. They are not the other city that would play with 3 rotating front threes. I don't know whether it makes sense. 3 rotating attackers. That now, when Haaland is not there, even Mamouche looked lost, yet he looked good playing off Haaland over the weekend. So I think Haaland's presence or lack of it could be a major factor for this one. Not that he's going to bang in the goals, but just him rubbing shoulders with Van Dijk and that central pairing.
Is he even fit?
I don't know. They are being very cagey about it. But for Liverpool, you could say maybe this is one of the final tests for them this season.
If you have your neck on your opponent, if you don't step on...
I don't think Man City is an opponent this year. Man City is 17 points behind. They're out of the
grand
equation.
scheme of things, even you look about, even beyond this season.
Yeah. Okay. Let me just look at Liverpool play Man City. After the Man City game, Liverpool have only 11 games left. 7 of those 11 are at Anfield. So after this, surely 7 games at Anfield, with only basically between now and May, when the season ends, they will have only 3 away games left. So I feel like you get this out of the way. Even a draw wouldn't be the worst result for Liverpool, I'm telling you. They would be 6 ahead with the game in hand, and you start from there. If you had told anyone in August that at this point Liverpool will be 6 ahead and of Arsenal and say 17 ahead of Man City, no one would believe it. So I think they've got enough points in the bag to try and see it out. Of course, now we have the battle of the Egyptians, Mamouche and Salah. Last weekend, Mamouche scoring a 14-minute hat-trick, his first hat-trick in his career. But for Liverpool, this game is all about, they create so many chances these days, Liverpool Football Club. And it will just be about whether they fall to Darwin or they fall to Salah, depending on who they fall
Gakpo.
to. No, Gakpo will finish them.
Pep talked about the importance of Man City finishing off the remainder of the season.
Pep has said a lot of things that have not happened.
No, he mentions that now the fight for Champions League slots is very important to Manchester City, and he says that in the context that as they face Liverpool, it's important for them to win such games, because then that gives them the momentum to play, to continue winning and make sure they're in the Champions League spot. But it's also,
I don't buy that kind of nonsense, and this is why.
Yes.
I think that motivation of qualifying for the Champions League, this same week Pep Guardiola's team was motivated to qualify for the round of 16. However, their opposition was miles ahead of them. Now, a Liverpool game with one team trying to chase the title and another one trying to qualify for the Champions League, I think Liverpool are more motivated. Their end goal is...
Anyway, I wanted to ask you about Nico Gonzalez just a bit, your thoughts on him, and maybe the reason why I am not so confident that Liverpool will go and walk over Man City. But
I've not seen enough of him. Like I said, midweek I basically watched Liverpool and Juventus PSV.
I think he played well against Newcastle. That victory that
everyone looked good against Newcastle. So did Kushanov. So I don't think that's
he looked maybe also. He also looked good for anyway. Phil, I'll let you get those predictions out. I'm very curious to hear your Arsenal one.
Okay, number 1, Liverpool are going to beat Man City. They've just gone that low. Their first win there in 10 years in the Premier League. Man U ogobagai sakaba mpira nga si sure ogwamanyi tuguleke tujja siba late kick off. So Liverpool win, Aston Villa to beat Chelsea, and Arsenal to beat West Ham. Those are the ones I'm sure about. I don't want to give you others I'm not sure about. So Liverpool win, Aston Villa win, and Arsenal win.
All right, that's our show. Tuchukule next Saturday.